Hey everyone, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching Elon's Tweets of the Week.
On Now You Know. Elon's Tweets of the Week is sponsored by Henson Shaving. If you want to get 100 free blades, that's 200 free shaves. I mean, you can use them more than once per side as well. So maybe 400 shaves?
Oh, probably.
Which is probably more than a year's worth of shaving. You can get more than a year's worth of shaving by going to hensonshaving.com.
You're being very conservative. You can get like 3 years of free shaving.
So yeah, head over to hensonshaving.com, use the code Now You Know, and you'll get 100 free blades for free.
And it's like the best shaver you're ever going to have.
I love it. So definitely go check it out.
So Elon tweeted out, Dragon separation confirmed. The spacecraft will now execute 4 departure burns to move away from the space station. Dragon will re-enter the Earth's atmosphere and splash down in about 23.5 hours. Now, again, the U.S. now has a way to send astronauts to the ISS. Before, there was only one way before Dragon, which was the Russian Soyuz. And I just think we've maybe either didn't know about this, because I don't think they teach it in school, or we forgot about this. But if it weren't for Dragon and Elon Musk specifically and SpaceX, we would probably not have an ISS, because that means International Space Station. We would probably have an RSS, or a Russian space station.
I think that this is something that... there are articles that talk specifically about little specifics about Rogozin just tweeted out this thing, and is he threatening Elon Musk? And
actually, we were going to talk about that.
We'll talk about that. But I mean, there's all these little articles, and they'll talk about tiny little specific things. I think that the world has not fully understood that the space shuttle, the thing that you've seen so many frickin' times take off, and oh my gosh, it's the space shuttle. That has not been in operation for a number of years now. We have not been able to launch or land it because we have ended that program.
A dozen years.
And in the meantime, we had no plan. The United States had no plan. NASA had no plan. I mean, we're going to have some rocket, and it was delayed more than a decade, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It forever. And because Boeing and all of these companies want to just
keep giving us a check. We'll figure it out.
Those big checks. Elon Musk is the only reason that the United States can send astronauts to the International Space Station right now. It's the only reason that the International Space Station is not under Russian control right now. We would have no way of sending anyone to the International Space Station. We would have no way of being able to keep the International Space Station in orbit if the Russians decided that they wanted to deorbit it over some city.
My argument is, even if Russia wanted to keep it alive and they don't have the technology to.
Let's move off of negative stuff. Let's talk about more positive things. Elon Musk is one of the only reasons why we're going to be getting to the moon in the next few years. I think that people...
We haven't been there since 1974.
Right. And Elon Musk is going to be the one reason that we get there. If you haven't read the book Liftoff by Eric Berger, or there's many other great books about Elon and how he really was super pivotal in making these, to me, wildly important companies that have done wildly important things. I would definitely recommend that you check them out, because it's really so important and impactful that we talk about these things.
And teach it.
And understand it. And maybe we can stop. Every time we're talking about inspirational things, can we stop showing the space shuttle?
Yeah.
Please?
Yeah.
For the love of goodness. I was watching a video the other day, and they're talking about space travel. The space shuttle is just made for low Earth orbit. And so is the Dragon capsule. Although
the space shuttle was chosen by President Nixon because he didn't understand space, and he chose the wrong thing.
He thought that it was a fun plane that he was playing around with on his desk.
We should have gone with the other method, and we would probably be on Mars now.
Yes.
All right, let's move on. This isn't a fun topic, but TMZ tweeted out, It Girl model, singer-songwriter Sky Ferreira declines date with Elon Musk after being asked by his team at the 2022 Met Gala. Mae Musk, Elon's mom, came to his defense and said, "There was no team. I was with Elon, so no." Elon said, "I didn't ask anyone out or request particular seating." Now, he is seated next to her, but that doesn't mean that he was asking her out on a date or anything. Elon went on to say, "This rumor originated from a parody account, but got picked up by real media and Twitter trends." Sigh. And Popa Mascanity said this account changed its profile picture from the New York Post, which they were not allowed to use, to Popgrave. They're using your name to get people interested in their website. Even the handle is fraudulent. Newy Post versus New York Post, the real one. Twitter should suspend.
So, yep, just a bit of rumor that gets picked up.
Well, and this is the problem with Twitter. I mean, you're allowed to just choose whatever name you want, and then people assume, and probably understandably, that it was the New York Post.
Oh, of course.
And there's no checkmark thing.
It's annoying.
All right, so millionaire David Sachs tweeted out, startups with high growth and moderate burn will get funded through the downturn. Startups with moderate growth and high burn will not get funded through the downturn. Elon said sage advice in this thread. And David knows what he's talking about. He started a lot of companies and he's a big VC guy. So if you're looking for investment advice, that's a pretty good advice. Elon said if Twitter acquisition completes, company will be super focused on hardcore software engineering, design, infosec, and server hardware. And this was in reference to a Fortune.com article about job interest in Twitter has skyrocketed more than 250% since Elon has said he's going to take it over. Elon went on to say, also work ethic expectations would be extreme, but much less than I demand of myself.
Which isn't saying much.
Right, because look at this tweet from Pranay. He said, honestly, the level of context switching that you can achieve and handle is simply astonishing. And this is from Walter Isaacson, the author. He was obviously hanging out with Elon because he's writing his book about him. This is from April 26th. Late last night, after winning his battle for Twitter, Elon was in Boca Chica and held his regular 10 p.m. meeting on Raptor engine design, where he spent more than an hour working on valve leak solutions. No one mentioned Twitter. He can multitask. That wasn't a 10 a.m. meeting.
I know.
That was a 10 p.m. meeting.
Yeah.
That means his employees are working that late,
Yeah.
and he's working that late.
Yeah.
Lex Friedman tweeted out, follow your bliss, and the universe will open doors for you where there were only walls. And that is a quote from Joseph Campbell, the author. Campbell's work, by the way, he wrote his books in like the 40s and 50s, is credited with influencing Star Wars and the follow your bliss mentality. And Elon tweeted, it's also how to find secret doors in Elden Ring. Holmar's catalog tweeted out, Japan's population falls by a record 644,000 to 125 million in 2021.
Elon said, at risk of stating the obvious, unless something changes to cause the birth rate to exceed the death rate, Japan will eventually cease to exist. That would be a great loss for the world.
And I would just like to talk about, everyone knows that Elon tweets about population all the time. Why do you think so many people are not having more people? And I think that's a big question we need to be asking ourselves. It's not that we don't like kids and we don't like little people. I think we all do. I think it's that there's a few things that go on in your brain when you're about to have a little person. You used to be a little person. And when I was thinking about maybe having you in my life, I thought, I'm going to be responsible for a little person. And so I have to make sure that I have everything I need to take care of that little person. And if you don't, if you are worried about where you're going to live or money or health, you're probably going to put off that decision, which is what people are doing. And I think we as a society should be talking about that because that means there's a lot of people out there who are afraid.
Right. I think that this tweet was, Elon has tweeted about population decline a lot, especially in the past few years. But this one, I think, because it's talking about a specific undeniable example, it got a lot of, I would say, positive response online. I was finding myself seeing articles where they were talking about this, and it got a discussion going to discuss stuff about this. Now, I don't necessarily think that Elon needed to bring it up for it to be such an obvious thing to talk about, but he does have a voice, and it is interesting that he can bring questions like this to a broader audience instead of just people who are going to, I don't know who normally talks about population decline.
Well, but I think if you ask 100 people, you'd see that probably the majority of them think that this isn't a problem. They think it's the opposite. They think the Earth is going to be overpopulated, and we don't even know the science of it, that it's not true. We're actually going to decline soon. But let's move on to ESG. That's environmental, social, and governance policy. Sawyer Merritt says, news, Tesla urges large funds to stop misleading investors and change their ESG valuation of companies. And this is because Tesla just put out their 2021 impact report, and in it they said, well, Elon said, yes, stop the outrageous false ESG assessments where Tesla gets a bad grade, but an oil company can get a good grade, total gaming of the system. And Hiro Mitsuno, who is on the board of Tesla, said, sure, to be clear, Tesla is not denouncing ESG investments, but urges ESG rating schemes to fairly evaluate a company's positive impacts as well as negative impacts. The current ratings often overweight reduction of negative impacts while neglecting positive impacts, Elon said.
Correct.
And so basically what this is, a lot of auto companies, for instance, get to say, well, we get points because we're making more EVs every year. Well, you're making more EVs so that you can keep putting out more gas cars. So you should have a lower ESG rating than you are getting.
Right. And again, this is one of those things where it's like, oh, we made a thing and everyone blindly follows that thing. And they go, ESG is the thing that we should follow. And then you do just a tiny little bit of research and you're going like, huh. how could Shell get this huge oil conglomerate which makes all of their money by selling oil to people so that they can burn it, which then definitely pollutes our atmosphere. How can they have a higher score than Tesla?
It's like baseball. Remember when Moneyball came out and everyone thought this is the new way to get a best team is to look at all these stats that we weren't looking at before. And so for like a decade, that's what they've been doing. You still have to win the game.
Right.
You still have to have players that want to play hard. And so instead of looking at that in a player now, we just look at, you got this special stat that looks really good, and look at the teams they're building.
Mm-hmm. Right. They don't care about how the teams work well together.
No.
It's just stats and little facts and figures. And I mean, I would even argue that with ESG, they're not even close to even that.
It's lies.
It's just complete bogus nonsense. And I think that it's really positive that Tesla is pushing the envelope on this.
Let's talk about Mother's Day. May Musk put out this tweet, and Elon said, "Happy Mother's Day." And this is a picture of Elon and his mom way back in the day, and some pictures of him recently. Yeah. And I think what a great mother-son relationship. Nice. I mean, I think so much of who Elon is because of his mom. Dr. Eli David said, "Elon, can you buy the World Health Organization from Bill Gates and make it about health?"
And Elon laughed.
Elon tweeted this. He said that Dmitry Rogozin sent this to Russian media. And I know you probably don't all speak Russian, so we'll translate it. It turns out that the internet terminals of Elon Musk's Starlink satellite company were delivered to the militants of the Nazi Azkov battalion and the Ukrainian Marines in the Mariupol by military helicopters. According to our information, the delivery of the Starlink equipment was carried out by the Pentagon. Elon Musk, thus, is involved in supplying the fascist forces in Ukraine with military communications equipment. And for this, Elon, you will be held accountable like an adult, no matter how much you play the fool.
So that was from Dmitry Rogozin. He is a Russian politician who has been the director general of Roscosmos, which is Russia's space agency, since 2018.
And Elon wanted to say, there are no angels in war. And Eric Berger pointed out, you got off light, Elon. Dmitry accused me of invading Afghanistan and Iraq and destroying Libya. And Eric Berger, if you're wondering if he's a general or something, no, he's an author of books about space. A good author, by the way. Elon went on to say, Starlink has resisted Russian cyber war jamming and hacking attempts so far, but they're ramping up their efforts. And Elon pointed to this Reuters article where I guess the Russians are really trying to hack into that network. I wonder why they'd be doing that. It's important, I think. Holmar's catalog said, glad you guys are focused on shipping higher quality updates as you move into a more production-like release cadence. Existing version already working well, but very excited for the next one. Leak the release notes to us at least.
Okay, so this is a bit of a shift. We were going from talking about Starlink. Now we're talking about full self-driving beta. So Tesla's full self-driving software suite that you can kind of get today if you buy a car and spend an extra $12,000 now.
Yeah, I think so.
And then be a very good driver.
You have to be an excellent driver.
And then
I'm an excellent driver.
And then you can get full self-driving beta. And so, yeah, Holmar's catalog is talking about the updates on full self-driving beta.
And Elon said release notes on this version will be long. Ooh.
So I don't know if that means that there's going to be more changes or if they're just going to be more verbose on the changes that they're making.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see.
Gary said, we still on track tomorrow for the release of FSD Beta 10.12. And that would have been yesterday, so that would be today. So that would be tomorrow for you.
What? Elon said, probably this weekend. A lot of code updates means much is discovered during testing.
So this weekend.
Okay.
Shibatoshi Nakamoto said, if Donald Trump gets back on Twitter, this is all that will happen. 1, he won't use it. Or 2, he will make a single tweet that is like, this site is bad, come to Truth Social, or whatever it's called. It doesn't matter. Adults don't need to have yet another meltdown.
Elon said, exactly.
Then Benny Johnson said, breaking, Elon Musk says he would reverse Trump's suspension from Twitter and called the ban morally wrong and flat out stupid.
Elon said, important to listen to my full explanation.
Okay, so we don't have time here to play the 4-minute explanation, but we're going to put a link to the video below if you'd like to hear Elon's full explanation about why he would let Trump back on the platform. BNO News said, breaking, Elon Musk says he'd allowed Trump to return to Twitter, says decision to ban him was morally wrong. Shibatoshi Nakamoto said, hello, I'm the media, here to promote propaganda and try to control people via giving them meltdowns and rage.
Elon says, haha. So I just want to say that, when we started this channel, Elon Musk was solely focused on just a couple things: making electric cars, SpaceX, solar panels, batteries, neural. He's focused on kind of a lot of things. And so we were all just kind of interested in what he was working on. What he's doing now I think that some people think that it's a really great idea. I think that some people don't want him to do that. I think that some people, kind of like me, don't really think that this is the right thing for him to be focused on. But it's not really anything to do with what this channel is about. I don't know. I'm going to kind of leave it to you guys. If you want us to kind of talk about what we think, I don't think it's that valuable to you. But if you want us to do that, you can leave it down in the comments below. I would only really do it on Patreon because I would only want to talk to kind of a limited number of people who wanted to hear what I had to say.
And it's a very nuanced argument. And so it
takes a long time to discuss it. And
we can't do it in 2 minutes.
It's very hard also without you being here with us to have a real conversation, because I could just keep talking and talking about something and you're like, shut up, I don't want to talk about it. Whereas if you were sitting next to me, I could read from your facial expressions that you're going like, I have something that I don't agree with. And I'd go, oh, well, what do you think? And then we would have an actual conversation. Again, this isn't really stuff that is pertinent to electric cars, sustainability, the future of space travel and stuff like that. So I think we're going to kind of skip talking about it for now. Let us know what you think in the comments down below, and maybe we'll talk about it on Patreon if that's what you want.
Gary Brenton tweeted out today, Elon and I wanted to share a quick message with you on platform regulation. And basically, Elon said, great meeting. We're very much on the same page. You might be asking who Breton is. He's a French business executive. He's also the current commissioner for the internal market of the European Union, basically the person kind of in charge of, I think, Twitter in Europe.
Right, because there are laws that would pertain to the internet in different localities. And so it's a good sign, I think, that they're having like a positive conversation with each other. It means that, Twitter isn't going to get banned in the EU. At least not yet. We'll see. Who knows?
Pope of Muscanity said, Elon, you could create a better platform for less than $1 billion. I've said it before and will reiterate it again. That being said, I kind of understand why you're buying Twitter, though I don't like that you're buying it with Tesla money, an asset that you said years ago that you'd only sell to fund Mars.
Elon said, you might be right. So
that's nice to hear.
It's nice to hear that he's having some second thoughts about it. I mean, yeah.
Kangaroo says, what class build of Elden Ring are you playing, sir? Appreciate your wisdom. Struggling with Mage. Funny that you're having trouble with the video game and you ask the world's richest person for help to get through the video game.
And it's even weirder that he responds to you, not with like a shut up, get back to work, but with intelligence/dexterity build. So mostly mage with some weapon skills, shield in left hand, staff in right with rapier and claws, fast switch. Change armor from heavy to medium for fast roller tank. Move talismans around a lot. Many small hits in a row to damage stack is important. Summon. So Elon Musk, richest man in the world and owner of some of the most influential companies in the world, is talking about a popular video game and his strategy in it.
And if this doesn't prove my point that Twitter allows you to see into Elon's true brain,
sure,
this is proof.
It's amazing that he is taking 10 o'clock meetings talking about Raptor engine development, and then also somehow has time to play Elden Ring. I don't have time. To play Elden Ring most of the time. I don't want to really play Elden Ring.
Does he not sleep at all?
I don't. This is where I question whether or not he is living in the same reality as we are.
Maybe there's 3 of them.
It's the only way that really makes sense.
Tim Urban said, and your farthest human relation on Earth is your 50th cousin. And this is in response to AJ Petway's tweet, I am a distant cousin to every living thing on Earth, each blade of grass, elephant, sea sponge, bacterium, and mushroom.
And Elon said, and we are all descended from a skinny shrew. Meet your grandparents. And so, I mean, he's right. At a certain point, all mammals basically seem to have evolved from one particular kind of shrew. That doesn't necessarily mean that they were related to the mushrooms, I suppose, tangentially.
Right. I mean, it all goes back.
All of our grandparents. But if you're talking to the mushroom, it's not.
Oh, different grandparents?
I don't know how often you talk to mushrooms, but
I eat them a lot. Hideo Kojima said, I was going to watch a scary movie before I sleep tonight, but I better not. I'll stick to reading a book. And then Athena said, agreed. When passively watching a horror flick, I don't get scared at all. Actively inching forward in a horror game, not knowing what's around the corner is scary AF. The list of horror games I couldn't finish is long. A prime example is Alien Isolation.
Elon added to the list. He said Dead Space 2, Fear 2, and BioShock are great.
History Defined tweeted out amazing facade detail of the Red Fort in Agra, India.
Elon said, it's amazing. I visited in 2007 and also saw the Taj Mahal, which truly is a wonder of the world.
And I just want to point out, I think these little tweets are little things that tell you that he's open to going to India for a next factory or a next, move for Tesla. So I feel like this is his foray into
Right.
that.
Just a little bit of context with Elon and India. Obviously, there's been kind of a disagreement that he's had with the Indian government, where the Indian government says, "Come to India first, Elon, and then we'll talk about you building a factory here." Elon has gone, "Hey, why don't you get rid of your
Arcane laws.
arcane laws, but also huge tariffs. I think
Yep.
it's something like 100%, 200% tariff
Yeah.
in India for imported vehicles."
Right. And then we'll talk.
And then we'll talk, I want to make sure that the market works in India before I dedicate a lot of resources
he's smart.
to importing things there. I think that is a good strategy. I think that the Indian government doesn't really care whether or not Elon comes in, but I think that the Indian people, they do want Tesla to be in there because they do want their cities to be have cleaner transportation options.
I think Tesla being in India would have one of the biggest impacts on public health of any place on earth.
I think that you're right.
Elon tweeted out, "Chocolate milk is insanely good. Just had some." And Elon, I just want to tell you the two reasons why you think that. First of all, there's sugar in it. And the second is it's cow's milk, which is basically really close to morphine once it's digested in your stomach. So you're feeling morphine and sugar. And that's why it's insanely good.
It's also just because chocolate milk's delicious.
It is delicious, sure. But just don't drink too much of it. Anthony said, "Should we deploy Chinese Elon as a decoy?" And what we're talking about here is this guy. You've probably seen him on the internet. He looks a lot like Elon. And Elon said, "I'd like to meet this guy if he's real." Hard to tell with deep fakes these days.
Yeah.
And I've seen so many videos, I feel like he is real.
Maybe. But
you never know.
I mean, you never know anymore with the internet.
Tasmanian tweeted out, "Tesla Giga Shanghai produced almost 11,000 cars in April, working in just one shift after 3 weeks of downtime."
Elon said, "Tesla China team is amazing."
Yeah, think about that for a second, okay? The whole factory has to shut down because of COVID. When you finally do get to open it up, it's because most of those people, most of those employees came back and lived in the factory. Like, I guess you put bedrolls out for them or cots or something. I don't even know. How do you put thousands of people to live and work in a factory?
I don't know.
Amazing what your team did there, and then was able to still produce cars.
Yep.
Wow.
And I think it's really important for Elon to be creating a positive narrative about the China factory. I think because of his relationship with China. And I know nobody likes China. I don't love the Chinese government or anything like that, but it is important for Elon in order to have a factory in China, which I think is a good thing.
Yep.
I think that it's a very good thing for Tesla. I think it's a very good thing for the world by keeping a positive narrative going about China and how he is appreciative of the Chinese team, the Chinese Tesla team. We see this a lot where he sends little signals that just say, "I appreciate you guys."
Mm-hmm.
Very uncomplicated, doesn't go into a lot of detail, just says appreciated. And I think that that's another thing to pick up, interestingly, also when we're talking about India, he sends uncomplicated, positive messages about certain places, and I think that is what gets a lot of people in those places to pressure their politicians to say, "Hey, I think that we should let this guy in, and he should build a factory."
No,
it's a small thing; it's not that important, but I think it's worth mentioning.
and that's why we do the show, because these little small tweets, I mean, it's so easy to dismiss them, but this is actually telling you where his brain's at and where the future might be at.
Yeah.
So that's why we do the show. If you love the show, hit the like button. That's what tells YouTube to share it with other people. Otherwise, no one watches it and we can't keep doing it. Also, if you want to help support us, head on over to Patreon, where we've got a lot of cool perks for you, and you can help support the show and get a lot of things that no one else can get.
We'll see you next time.
Now you know.